All right, bruv. Can you hear me?
Brethren, yes.
Hello, governor.
Lord of mercy. What's going down, my guy?
Lord have mercy. Wagwan, brethren.
Oh man, champion. It's good to be back in the neighborhood again, man.
It is good, man. I'm enjoying these live deep dives that we do on Fridays. This is
Yes, sir.
nice, and just for us to most of the time I'm in the lab cooking up the deep dives on my own,
Yep.
and then I drop them kind of to coincide with a reaction video that we've done.
Mhm.
But to do the dual deep dive, and for those that don't realize what's happening right now, so we're doing a live deep dive, and these are going to be Patreon exclusives. So if you're here right now and you're catching this on YouTube, then you are lucky, because this will be the only time you see it unless you subscribe to the Patreon. Also, after me and Syntell get through doing our spiel, then we will invite a couple other people to the stage and we'll talk about a few of the issues. So you'll get something completely different on the Patreon than when I go back and re-edit this for the YouTube only version. So just so that you are aware. Today I had to go over it. We had to talk about it.
Yep.
The number one movie on Netflix at this moment is Rebel Ridge. And we watched Rebel Ridge. So in case you have not seen it, we go into the description and watch our reaction video that we did to this. It came out a day prior to this. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Is like the internet is going crazy with how popular and how this, they're just saying this is a critical acclaim. This is a great movie, and I'm like, is it?
yeah. I feel like the kid in class. I want to raise my hand and be like, I got something to say. Maybe.
I almost like, and sometimes at points in the movie, I was like, I would be the kid in class, be like, yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. Now, don't get me wrong, the movie was enjoyable.
Yeah,
it was enjoyable, and it was being passed off as the Rambo replacement for the new generation. Especially if you've seen, and that's what they're trying to say, like Rambo, the first Rambo movie, First Blood.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
So the thing is, my take on this was, by the end of the movie, my take on this was there was a perception of vengeance. And what I mean by that is there is a quote that I absolutely love. I love my quotes, and I know I'm doing this in a little bit out of order, but I want to set up my thinking for this. Samuel Johnson, and from the names, it sounds like he's back there hanging out with Samuel Adams, not Sam Jackson, because ain't no MFs in this. He said that revenge is an act of passion, vengeance of justice. Injuries are revenged, crimes are avenged.
That's a bar. That's a bar. Yeah. I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, that's something. I was like, ooh, I like that. Now, so go ahead.
No, I was gonna say more. I see you setting the table. All right, say more with that quote, and let me shut up. This is you, man. Run with it. I just like that quote though. That was hot.
All right, when I first showed up in Lexington, Kentucky, I guess I was a junior in high school, and I had some issues going on, so school was not a place that I wanted to be. I didn't care. And then because I played sports my senior year, the rule was, in order to go to practice, you had to be at school for at least half the day. So that half the day was usually the back half of the day. Now, it just so happened that one of those days we didn't have practice. Me and my cousin was like 3 months older than me, so we're in the same grade, and he was naturally my first friend when I got to Lexington. we rode the school bus home. And even though I was a senior in high school, I didn't have a car at the time. He didn't have a car. And I was just one of them kind of people. I didn't care. It wasn't a matter of pride. Like, I'm not riding a school bus. Rode the school bus home. We were in living color, wild and out. We were just natural jokesters, and anybody could get it. Anybody could get the smoke. Now, and I didn't bother anybody, but my cousin, he had a little bit of asshole in him.
Mm.
And there was this one girl on the bus. It's clear now, especially now, she has some mental health issues going on.
Okay.
And my cousin decided, for whatever reason, because he wanted the laughs. He wanted the laughs. He wanted other people to laugh. And yeah, he went in on her. And he was talking about her. See, because the thing is, always when we got on the bus, we talked about each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be quiet, and he would say something, and then I would launch into him, and he would say something, and we just have the whole bus just cracking up.
Mm.
But if anybody else, once my cousin, he was notorious for this. Once I started getting the best of him, which was every time, if someone else turned around and they looked too hard or they laughed too hard, he was always like, "Oh, what the hell are you laughing at? Oh, hold on." And he would go in on them. And this girl, she turned around and looked, I guess, too hard, and he went in on her. To the point where I was like, "Hey, man, leave her alone." Especially now we know with the scene to be set in schools today, don't bother that quiet one. The quiet one's the crazy one. Leave him alone. He went in on this girl, and she took it in stride or whatever, and she just, okay. So the next day, it just so happened we were riding the bus home again, and she got off at the stop before we got off. And, but we was back in the back cutting up, as usual. And when it came to our stop, we stand up to get off the bus. I notice she stands up to get off the bus, but she's sitting up close to the front. So she stands up to get off the bus. My cousin stands up in front of her. He's the next one to get off the bus. I'm behind him, and then, whoever else or whatever. And I'm like, this ain't her stop. But my cousin, he's cutting up. He's still joking on people as we going out the bus. He's still joking. He's going in on people or whatever. She gets down to the bottom of steps, and my cousin's getting down to the bottom of, he's rounding that corner to leave, get off the bus. She's standing there at the bottom of the steps. I come around, I could see, I was like, man, what's the hold up? Oh, girl had pulled out of her pocket. She put out like one of those little flasks of lighter fluid and sprayed it all on my cousin. I was like, what the hell is that?
Whoa.
Man, my cousin, he starts cussing. He's like, what the hell? How much this shirt costs or whatever. She goes back in her pocket and she pulls out a lighter. And I'm like,
guy.
Like, oh shit. So my cousin, it finally like something clicks. And he's like, now my cousin, he was a big dude, like offensive lineman, big dude. I was running back. He was offensive lineman big. He tackled her ass so hard. Like it was like a WWE move. He jumped off the steps and tackled her and, and held her down. And I think he was getting ready to hit her. And I grabbed his hand and I was like, dude, you know what I'm saying? We're not out here hitting girls. He's like, no, she sprayed that. She was about to set me on fire. And I was like, what? I mean, do you remember yesterday?
Yeah.
You remember yesterday?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying I condone it, but I understand. She's gonna get a get back. She's gonna get a get back. How she get a get back? So, and the thing is, when I went into teaching, that was always one of those things because of that situation. I always watched out for the quiet kid. The quiet kid is the one that you don't know what's going on upstairs, and they're the one that's got some extra stuff in their backpack or, because of what they're dealing with at home. And it was just one of those things I always watch out. I hate bullies anyway. And my cousin, even though he's not a bully, he could definitely have bully moments or whatever. So that always bothered me about him. Anyway, that perception of vengeance. Because
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, in your head, you play it out. It's like, okay, he tackled her, he was about to beat her up. Um, if that went to court, like how does that play out? Would he have been right? Would she have been right if she was able to light that lighter? You know, what is, you know, and going back to that quote, you know, about vengeance, revenge, you know, it's like she was was she injured, or, you know, was a crime happened against her? And I really think that it was more that, and we don't ever think about that. You know, like I said, injuries are revenge, crimes are avenged.
Mm.
Her pride could have been injured, her feelings were hurt. You know, I mean, the entire bus laughed at her. They laughed at everything that he
Mm.
said, and it
Mm.
was
Mm.
hurtful even to the point I was like, man, hey, leave her alone. Like, you know,
Yeah.
you got mad. You could not take out what you wanted to take out. You couldn't say what you want to say to me because
Mm.
I was handing you your ass, and
Mm.
you did what a bully does. You look for a smaller, weaker target
Yeah.
and took it out. Um, so let's drop into this movie right quick, because
Okay.
that, to me, that theory of vengeance,
Mm-hmm.
what is vengeance and what is justice? Like the two seem to be kind of intermingled, but are they really interchangeable? Like, you know, where does one end and the other begin? So
Mm.
Rebel Ridge, you have the lead characters played by Aaron Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's his name, Terry Franklin in
Terry. I
the
just knew it was Terry something. Terry. Definitely Terry.
yeah, and he is one of the great things about this particular movie is the way it starts off. It starts off, we see him riding his bicycle down a, you know, I don't, it doesn't really look rural, but down a country road. There's a lot of scenery. He's just out for a leisurely bicycle stroll.
Mm-hmm.
Police car comes up behind him. I don't even remember if it had the lights, you know, spinning. Um,
Yeah, yeah, because he was driving behind him and he was doing that back and forth because he was trying to get his attention.
oh,
But Terry
yeah.
had his headphones in. And he
Yeah,
was
he had
listening
his
to the.
headphones in.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so because of that, the police cruiser took out the back tire of his bicycle, you know, completely caused a accident. And then they jumped out, harassed him. You know, the there was two of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's two police officers. I mean, they definitely had their hands on their gun the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
And all right, this is hard for me to talk about just because it triggers certain things for me. And I don't know how it is for the critics and all these other people that watch this movie, but certain things in this triggered me. And that's why I don't know if we have the same look at this as some of the critics and things, and even reading through the comments on the reaction that we did,
Yeah.
I just I don't know. So just and I'll let you take over the
Okay.
quick recap. Um, they harassed him. You know, he said, you know, because he didn't comply with the, you know, he had his headphones in. They basically did kind of an unlawful search and seizure
Mm-hmm.
of his backpack, and they said, you know, if he agreed to the backpack, he'd be able to, you know, go on along his way. He had a $36,000 in cash
Mm-hmm.
in his backpack, and he was using that to come to this small town of I forget what the name of the town was,
Yeah.
um, but it's a small town, rural
The
town,
country
and
southern town. Yeah.
yes, country,
Yeah.
very southern,
Mm-hmm.
to bail his cousin out of jail.
Yeah.
His cousin had got caught for uh, basically a misdemeanor charge. He basically got charged with possession, but he had a little bit of the, you know, the sticky icky, the marijuana on him, the weed, which is, I don't know about this state, but was it like 36 out of 50 states? It's legal now. So
Yeah, I don't think it's legal in Louisiana though, because that's the state that this takes place in.
was it
Yeah,
Louisiana?
it's Louisiana. Yeah, and I'm pretty certain it's not legal there. But go ahead, finish your thought.
I mean, but still, even a possession charge for what he made seem like was a very small amount. It's not like he had a large amount. It was distribution. He got charged with possession, but they were about to give him like 10 years in prison for possession charge. And even being illegal in a state that's not, I don't know. It's funny because weed has always been one of those things. Weed still is, it was, I think it's not now, but it was classified as a tier 1 controlled substance, which was, out there with some of the worst drugs on the market. They took his money. He went to the police station to complain, to get his money back. It was a whole scene when he went to the courthouse talking about, the police took my money. There was one young lady, young Caucasian lady, that wanted to help him. She said she related. She, had a hard time of it, and she related, and she said it seemed like the right thing to do to help him. Yeah, jump in here.
Yeah. So he gets away. Not gets away. He gets to the town, and then he calls up a friend and is like, "Listen, I'm gonna need some money, so that I can get my brother out." He talks to, I guess it was like the clerk, to figure out like what payments need to be arranged. And then he goes to the sheriff to file a complaint. He goes to the police office to file a complaint. And like you said, there's a lot of things, I think, culturally speaking, that there may be a disconnect. And he goes to the sheriff's office and kind of flexes a little bit. And sheriff, in sheriff fashion, was like, "Listen, man, not only are you not going to file this complaint, you need to get out of town. I'm gonna give you this kind of like quick opportunity." But as they arrange a deal, and he's like, "Listen, if you leave, I'll give you opportunity to see your brother before he leaves, because you have to keep in mind his brother's on a time constraint. If he doesn't get this money, he will go to prison." And the interesting thing about that is because his brother was a snitch. He talked to the feds in order to get some other storyline and threw these people under the bus, and those people were going to be at the prison. So there was a timeline. If he gets to the prison, more than likely he would die. Our hero Terry leaves, comes back. It was an interesting moment where you get a chance to see him living off the land to kind of set the idea of who Terry is. He comes back, and the sheriff is like, out of spite, was just like, you missed him. He just wanted to be an asshole. And the sheriff did that because he was like, "How dare you have the audacity to come in my police station, throw your weight around in my town." Terry gets mad, leaves, chases his brother down, tells him to be okay. His cousin's down. Tell him, keep your head down low. I'll handle it. Terry gets back, and confronts the sheriff again about, why do you do this? But all the time they're kind of like running Terry's background information to find out exactly who this guy is. And by the time they figure it out, Terry has already disarmed the sheriff. A little kerfuffle kind of happens, and Terry escapes. He escapes it, and he fakes everybody out to make him think he leaves town. He actually comes back to town because he was able to get some money to try and set up some way of getting his brother out. It gets bad. He gets detained, and then it just starts spiraling more and more out of control, because then we find out that Summer had like some bad beef with the town. She was kind of set up, had her kid taken away. Terry finds out his brother ends up becoming killed, but he takes the loss. He's like, "Okay, you've killed my brother." His training kicks in and is like, "Leave with your life." So he was like, "Okay, I'm a bounce." But then something weird and strange happens. Summer sleeps so hard she can obviously be doped up with intravenously and not wake up. As the cops are getting revenge on her for helping Terry out, she calls Terry. Terry comes back to try to help her out, and then it explodes and gets a little bit higher, and then some mayhem kind of unfolds. You want me to keep going?
No,
we kind of get the gist.
Because they can go in and watch the reaction.
Right. So
and hopefully they watch the movie as well, because it's entertaining. It is entertaining.
But there is some issues. Did you want to pick up from here. Go for it.
Yeah. So all right. So let's go back to the initial question.
Yeah.
I said this movie, by the end of the movie, it gave off the perception of vintage. And the way it ended was
Mhm.
very strange. And I'm not gonna, for those people that want to watch it, I'm not gonna spoil the ending. But the way it went off, it was you make your own interpretation of what happened next. Like there was a lot of things in the ending that was like, hmm, really? Where does one thing end and the next begin? What was vintage? What was vengeance? And what was justice? And are those two interchangeable terms? And I was like, I don't know. It left me a lot of feelings. Just the whole setup kind of left me feeling some kind of way, and I was triggered by
Mm.
this. And I think I personally was a little bit more triggered after reading through after we watched it,
Okay.
reading through some of the reviews
Mhm.
and how people was like, "Oh, this is like one of the best movies that Netflix has put out in years," and it's just, and I was like, "You said something at the end of our reaction." I was like, "Is that what it was?" Um, and again, that's one of those things I don't want to say it because I want people to see it in the reaction.
Okay.
But well, no, I will say it. He didn't. Terry, the Marine Corps instructor, who we find out when they're running his background check, the sheriff and his people are they feel very calm because I was like, oh, he didn't serve, he didn't go combat, he didn't go overseas to a war zone. Oh, when he's an easy kind of Marine, which there is no such thing as an easy kind of Marine. If you, I don't know who came up with that. He's like, oh, he didn't go to war because
Mm.
that's just so they have no clue about war. Because war, even going to war, you might have been in a hot zone, but it's still a whole lot of sit around and wait. The thing is, they found out that he had a special designation, MCMAP, and they're like, what is that, a McMap? What is that? But he didn't go to war. Cool, we can handle this dude.
Mm.
Marine Corps martial arts program instructor. He was so good at whooping ass that they chose him to teach other Marines how to whoop ass. And the young lady who was on duty working in the police station, she said, "Wait a minute. This might be his picture. This might be him on the
On the
Wikipedia for the
Wikipedia
Marines."
page.
Yeah. That means that is a dangerous ass man.
You're a real one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy. So we we get to see very little of that and that type of training. And the one thing that I really do give Aaron Pierre gave a fantastic performance.
I
I
think
will
so.
say that. I
Yeah.
thought and it's one of those things like, oh, this dude's about to be a star. Like he's about to be a movie star, not a Netflix movie. He about to be in your local cinema in something. Like I'm sure that Sony, not Sony, but Disney, Marvel, is like, oh yeah, he needs to be in a Marvel movie. We gotta find something for him to do.
M. Yeah.
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 It's like, yeah, we're not fooling with Jonathan anymore. Get that guy right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still was triggered by this because a lot of the reviews that came out for this, I was like, I don't know if I agree. They were saying that it was like even some of the things that we said in our reaction,
Okay.
some of the comments in our reaction was like, like we were the ones who were completely out of touch. And I was like, interesting. I was like, I've never had this kind of scenario happen
Mhm.
in on our reactions before. Like I've had a few people that completely vehemently disagree with us.
Mhm.
Uh and that was pretty much during the acolyte.
Mhm.
Um, but outside of that, I was like, okay, this was different. You said in reaction, he didn't kill anybody. And that's why people like this. There was one death in this entire movie. One death. And that was where off screen his cousin was killed when he got to the prison. He didn't even make it out of whatever the first place you get to in prison. He didn't even make it out of there. Somebody recognized him because the drug dealers he told on was, big time. Somebody snitched and he got stabbed up real tough and he got killed off screen. This dude went in the police station and assaulted all these little Southern police officers. Okay, sure. I mean, and he had the patience of a Buddhist monk when he went that he was so patient, and they was talking so spicy to him and so disrespectful and things like that. And not that he should have flew off the handle when they're talking to crazy him, but I mean the amount of guns that's pulled in his face and all this type of stuff, it seemed like some different reactions, some different things would have happened in the course of this movie. Go ahead, man.
First off, I'll talk about it because I know it's probably gonna make some people mad, but this was written by a white man. I need y'all to first understand this. This was written by a white man. He's talking about police interaction in the South with black folks. So I'm just saying I'm saying the dude is culturally disconnected, and that's why there's a disconnect for me personally. I have personally had some not so pleasant interactions with the police, and a lot of it for reasons that people will feel uncomfortable about because I'm black. It just is what it is. And those interactions can like you said can trigger you. And I've seen friends get hemmed up by police. I've seen friends get thrown in paddy wagons and tased and all kinds of stuff. I ain't talking about. I know a guy knows a guy. I've been through it. I've seen it. And so when you go through those experiences and you see a film like this, and I thought that what we were going to see was like what's his name, Christopher Dorner. He was a guy who was in California. He was a cop that had enough, and he armed himself and was like, "I'm going to get retribution on all these police because of the way that they were treating me." And he went out and murdered a bunch of people and was on the run. I thought it was going to be that. And that during that time with Christopher Dorner, when that happened, this was maybe 10 years ago. It was very interesting living. I was living in California when that happened. It was a very interesting time because there's two sides of the fence. You had one person, and I'm not gonna lie, they were majority white people, and they're like, they had to kill him at all costs, this, that, and the third. He did these horrible things, and he did. Let me be clear, he did horrible things. Any murder, somebody that was innocent too as well. But the black community, even though they heard about these horrible things, most people that I know in the black community was like, just don't ask me. Just if you don't want to hear how I feel about it, just don't ask me. It had a very OJ kind of effect kind of thing. We knew OJ did it, but don't ask me. That's all. Yeah. That's all we gonna say. Because culturally speaking, we've been traumatized by a lot of the things that police do. I was saying to Rakai, this movie, I promise you, would not have received all these accolades had that black man been bodying up white police officers. I promise you. It would not. There would not be all this lauded applause and all of this. This is great and this, that, and the third. For the simple fact that the only body count in the entire movie was his cousin. People can be like, oh, this is great. I can understand that. He's such a cool and sensitive person. This dude walked into an arsenal of guns and grenade launchers, and all of it's non-lethal. Get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, my bad. I just can't be cussing on your live stream. I'm sorry. Have y'all lost your minds? Word? This dude walks into a police station with a pistol with a bunch of 6-7 different hillbillies with rifles, and they talk about, nah, it's all right, we got it under control. You don't.
What do they call it? The redneck SWAT team?
Are y'all high? The only thing that was accurate in that entire joint, man, was when the dude pulled him over when he was about to get out of town, and he threw the gun in and was like, he's got a gun. I was like, no, that's accurate. I can kind of see that. This movie was way too safe. It was too safe. It's too safe for this story. Because if it really was a black dude in the South, like a sundown town in Louisiana, hell no. Hell. And then to make matters even worse, you ain't gonna get revenge on your cousin, but some random lady that you just meet that you literally met yesterday. You're gonna put it all on the line to save her? Get the out of here with this mess. You're right. My bad, Rakai. You
but
got it.
Y'all can see how this moved us and triggered us, and people were in the comments of our reaction video talking about, well, of course he went back to help her. Have y'all ever heard of empathy? And she's the only one that helped him. And I was like, get the fuck. Listen, y'all know me. I don't even watch horror movies, but one of the most iconic scenes to me, the original was it Night of the Zombies, the zombie movie, George Romero, the very first one. The black guy has made it. He's made it. He's on the clear. And then he turns around to go save Karen and gets his ass bit by the damn zombie, gets housed by the zombie to save Karen's ass.
Caped up.
Listen, caped up. Had his whole cape was flapping in the breeze. Captain Saver. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, hell no.
Hell no. Oh,
listen,
man.
I understand him going back to help her and feeling some kind of way. She was the only person that had compassion on him and helped him out. But still, at the end of the day, bruh, like this.
Where was his energy for your cousin?
Again, yeah.
Where was that energy for your blood? Where was that energy for? Nah.
What? Not only that.
Out of town for his cousin.
He sold his shares of a restaurant that he was invested in. He rode a damn bicycle with a backpack with $36,000 on here to get his cousin out, and all of this, and he still didn't. He had more energy to go help Summer than I
He just met her. He literally just met her. That's wild to me.
And here's the thing. Us talking about this is not from word of mouth. It's not about situations we've heard. I have stared down the barrel of a pistol of an officer in my face. And it's very easy to say, I didn't even do nothing. And then, of course, you hear those other people's, why didn't you just comply? If you saw this movie, dude complied to the 9th degree of comply and still got screwed over. And it's one of those things, when you put this type of stuff in the media, here's the thing that I don't like. Media shapes perception. And that's why I was saying that this is about the perception of vengeance. Media helps us shape our perception. And it's like the one thing that we agreed on was like, look at other examples. They were saying this is a Rambo replacement. But if you saw the original Rambo First Blood, shit.
Bodies.
John Rambo
bodies,
killed all the little corrupt police. He killed National Guard.
Horribly.
Anybody. If you came looking for him, you was gonna get that business.
Well,
and then the military swooped in at the end of the movie and was like, hey, that's our guy. He's a trained killer. Y'all should have knew better. Listen, it doesn't matter that he dropped 74 bodies out here in these woods. That's y'all's fault. We gonna take him with us. It's like, the hell? Listen, it's just
it's just you have to suspend your disbelief on a level that I was uncomfortable suspending my disbelief. I think if you come from a space where you can't emotionally connect with some realities, that could be a hard sell. Now, let me be clear again. I certainly enjoyed the movie. Like, it's entertaining as hell. It is, and it is well done. But this whole, it's what I think what triggered me, and I'm gonna speak maybe on behalf of Noob, is just this critical acclaimness of it. And like, the script was tight and it solved all the problems. And that part, it's like, no, this is candy coating. This is nowhere near, the realities of what some of these situations could be. It was an overstep in that space. and for people to be kind of like blind to it is very telling for me. Is very telling. I'm like, okay, it's just a cultural disconnect. Like I said, this was written by a white guy, so that's
Listen,
he's gonna write the fantasies he knows.
the thing is, I didn't even want to belabor this point this long, but as you see, we got a little passionate, and yeah, it's still I it for this to have, what was it, 95, 98%
Yeah,
rating?
it's rave reviews. IMDb has it, it's gone down a little bit. It was an 8 something on IMDb. It's dropped down to like a 7 with over 23,000 views. I think Rotten Tomatoes, it debuted on Rotten Tomatoes with like a 90 something, if I remember right.
But that's because the critics review of it is super high. They're saying like this is almost a perfect, this is one of the best Netflix original movies in years. The audience, it's coming in much lower. What is it coming in?
So the critic score on Tomato Meter was a 95% still. But listen, the audience score is a 71%. You're talking about a 24% dip. And I think a lot of it has to do with that. Like, you have to suspend your disbelief in a way that's like, Can I circle back to what you said something earlier regarding just, is it revenge or are you avenging? How do you feel that played out regarding Terry and his seek for justice? Where does that fall under for him? What was he doing? Or is it two parts of the same coin? Maybe in the beginning he felt one way, in the end he felt another. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it's fortuitous that he simply went to this town to free his cousin. He had the money with him to free his cousin. The corrupt police officers took his money, and then it was explained to us in a way which I'm sure if they put it in this movie, that's probably an actual real thing. I had no idea, but the way that they explain that, that's probably a very real thing about search and seizure. And I've heard, so it's not even so much as you got crooked cops that just take your money and they don't report it. No, they absolutely report it, put it all in there, whatever. But the way they did it, they wrote it up and did it in such a way that you don't even have the recourse to come and get it. Or if you do try to get it, you're going to spend twice the amount in legal fees and everything like that to even take it back, and then still more than likely lose. Because like you got to sue for the money or something. It's something weird, and it's like, wow. To have Summer help him go get the files to show the level of corruption and for how long it's been going on, and that a lot of people are getting railroaded, and we're led to believe that it's all the minority people getting railroaded, but it may not be. That's an assumption. Because all these people are getting time for much longer than what they should be for these minor crimes, and they're seizing assets and all this type of stuff to fund the mess that they got going on in that little town. For him to kind of take down the whole ring, and by the end, people, they switch sides and do some stuff that kind of surprises we didn't really see coming, and then the FBI come in. I got the proof, and we're going to take this thing whole down. The fact that he still attacked an entire police station and whooped ass. The FBI still at the end of the day are national cops. They're not local. They're not regional. They're national cops. They still cops. Like the fact that they're going to come in and, give them a handshake and, thank you for your service, sir. We didn't even know that this was a problem, but we're glad that you came in here and took it down for us. And when we go in just a moment, when we go into this this other part of the deep dive with our wonderful people from the Discord and other people, so we can see some of their thoughts on this. Like, there are other properties that have some of these same beats. One that we reviewed and loved, Reacher, and we're talking about the TV show Reacher. Really? yeah, Reacher was great,
Yeah.
and he dropped bodies,
Yeah.
like dropped bodies, and I don't. These are so, like you said, the disconnect is wild on this for me.
To the people that will be joining the conversation, some of our moderators, I dropped the link in the mod chat on
Yeah,
Discord. Sorry about that; it was a little bit late, but it is going in there. And while everybody kind of
yeah,
sets up
and I
for
think
this,
I had dropped it in earlier, and I think
okay.
I also dropped it in my channel on the Discord. But
I will say this though. I will say this because some people are saying I've heard discussions like you're missing the bigger picture. It's not a race issue of what this is about. It's more of an issue of how funds are being used in order to set up police presence in small towns. How money's being manipulated. For everything from it supposedly it talks about conversations about defunding the police, when the police do get their funds, what are they using it for? We saw the arsenal. You know, there are some police stations in rural parts where they have like those big tanks that they use for the SWAT team use, and it's like
mm-hmm.
some small town in Indiana, right, with like 100 people in there. It's like, why do you have that? Like, why are you overly armed? And some of the methodologies that many law enforcement agencies are using in order to get their funding. So I have heard that argument. It's like it's not a race, and they don't bring up race. Like I said, this is written by a white dude. They don't bring up race. They make it more of a police issue, with them having abusing the power in order to get power, if that makes sense. You know, sticking it to the little guy, taking their money, and overarming themselves. And if that is the narrative that you want to go on, there is an argument for it. There is, because it really isn't the way it's written. It's not meant to feel like there's going to be like this police against like black people kind of feel kind of thing. It's supposed to not be about that. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Okay.
However, here is the other thing that I think is missed in that conversation, because it's very easy to get caught up in the race issue because
Yeah.
the protagonist is a black man,
Mm-hmm.
and what is carried out is against a black man. And the way that they're talking to him, this is a southern town, maybe they're like, oh, well, it's not racial because they did have one black lady working at the police station. Yeah.
Well,
Here's the thing. That police station ruled, and everyone said that Summer, even the black lady who worked there,
mm-hmm.
that was about fear, and they
Mm,
ruled with fear and the way that they did their job. So remember, the underlying issue was because of police brutality, there was a lawsuit,
mm,
and the lawsuit damn near bankrupted the town.
right.
Bankrupted the town. It's almost like the way this movie is written is almost to scare people off of that. Um, there should be consequences for you doing your job. And it almost seems like public officials, their elector, whatever, you have a particular job, especially in the government,
Mm-hmm.
you should give some type of carte blanche. You can do whatever you want. Hey, I work for the government. I can do what I want. I have this certain amount of power. I'll abuse it if I want to. And that, they were forced to go non-lethal because of that that lawsuit, but they found a way to go even more corrupt, and now
Yeah.
we're funding uh the other counties around us and making them rent uh you know these things from us or whatever. Like, they found a way to go even more corrupt, and I think that that's also one of those things, like you said before, that whole issue of defunding the police.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happened if you defund the police. They
Yeah.
find a way to get even more corrupt on you, and do worse things for you. And I just think that if that is your motive for this particular narrative, you did not stick the landing on that. Like, it still comes off as a racial issue, and it doesn't land because season one of the Reacher TV show,
Mm-hmm.
vast, vast corruption with the police department and some, the rich people in town. Um, it it that doesn't that never comes across in any other media, and I hate that There's like, okay, this is the issue we want to talk about, but we're going to do it in this way. And
Mhm.
it's easy for people who have not had these experiences to say, this is not a race issue. Shit. The hell? What? That's like with people that will argue you to your face and tell you that the Civil War was about states' rights. What? With the state's right to do what? To keep slaves. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, well, there's I think Sophie brought a point up in the chat right here, and it's very true. She said, let me see, not a race issue. Sure, it's a coincidence that the main character is a black man against a slew of white cops, and I'll even double down on that. Not only is if it wasn't about race, then when they did the recasting, they found another brother, and then they recast it again, they still found another brother. If the story is that strong and it really isn't about race, then you could easily just recast some
because
other
this
group.
the part
So it
originally
does,
went to John Boyega,
right?
and
And
he
then
walked away from.
Jonathan Majors too first.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Majors was rumored to have it, but he
Yeah.
didn't actually start the project, and I don't know if the whole thing had come up. No, as a matter of fact, because this movie was actually shot back in 2021. This
Mhm.
movie was shot like one of the first things after the pandemic.
Mm.
This was done. It was rumored to Jonathan Majors. He accepted. Then he said, "Nah, I don't want to do it." It was given to John Boyega. He
Mm.
took the part, actually started filming, and then walked out. I was like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't know. I guess he read through the rest of the
Maybe
script.
he
He's like,
read the script.
oh,
Yeah, I was
oh,
about to say.
mm,
He was like, don't know
mm."
about that, man.
Plus, I also wonder if it's a bit different for him, being that John Boyega is British, and I
Mm.
know that British black people have had their own issues, and it's not because they're outside the United States that they don't deal with their own sort of racism, but it may not. He may have had a little bit more difficulty connecting to the character, and
Yeah.
he is a wonderful actor. But seeing Aaron Pierre in this role, I can't imagine John Boyega being in this role because Aaron Pierre actually killed it. The
Yeah.
movie is entertaining,
It is.
but
Yeah.
for someone like myself, it is highly triggering. Uh, and I didn't think that I would feel, because I actually, when they said Rambo replacement, I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is gonna be live, a good action flick. And I was like, I got very little action, very little whoop ass, nobody's. I was like, what the hell am I watching? This is, saying this brother teaches martial arts to the Marines, and he's tickling people, and like, I'm gonna shoot a bunch of smoke bombs and move around stealthy, like this is, Assassin's Creed mission, but I'm not supposed to kill anybody.
Yeah. Hey, I know we're about 48 minutes in. I know you wanted to touch in with some other people to give
Yeah,
their
let me
spiel, and you
wrap
want to bring
this
them
up
in.
for let
Okay.
me wrap this up for the YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this back. Lord, I listen, and that's why I said, like, for real, like, I didn't like super script how I wanted this to go, because
Okay.
this is one of those issues. I was like, you know what, I'm
Get
just
them the
gonna let it
legs of its
flow,
own.
because because it's an issue. I didn't want to take the legs out from our conversation. Like, no, we gonna talk about this, especially when everybody go into the comments be like, no, you guys are wrong. I usually agree, and I love everything you guys say, but you guys are wrong. Have you heard of empathy? Get the boy. Listen. This issue is, I like. You know what? You got the right one today. I'll die on this hill. No, hell no. Hell to the no. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think
I am from Los Angeles. I know LAPD. You can kiss my ass about that. I live in the other LA, Louisville area. You know what I'm saying? Yes, the home of Breonna Taylor. We got our own bullshit happening down here with our little police department. And yes, I have friends that are police officers. I have people in my family police officers. I understand. Not all police officers are bad. And it's funny how that is always a conversation. Well, you can't blame it on all police officers. Well, shit, y'all blame everything on all black people. Is, you know what I'm saying? We all thugs and criminals and drug dealers and gang members. You kiss my ass with that. Listen, I'm out the woo side. Remember my pressure points because this shit. I ain't even Buddhist. Nam yo ho
Ring
boy,
yo.
yeah, yeah,
That
boy,
little thing to circle around, make that sound.
yeah.
Woosah. Woosah.
All right, let's wrap this, John, up.
All
Listen,
right.
thank you to everyone who is here for this special part of the deep dive. This is everything that you've seen before. Probably I'm going to cut this back for the YouTube edit, but we are going to continue this discussion, and it's a Patreon thing. So the only way that you get to see what we're going to talk about from here on out is if you are on here live or if you go to my Patreon, which is patreon.com/nupefromdaville.
Yep.
Again, thank you so much, Syntell.
I love chopping it up with you,
Listen,
man.
this is my brother, and I love getting to do this stuff with you. Um, like, comment, you know, and I'm okay. Listen, if you got some negative stuff to say, if you don't believe how I believe, or you completely diametrically opposed to what I got to say, that's all right. Drop it in a comment. I'm here for it. My skin is thick enough. I can take it. I'll be like, all right. You know what I'm saying? I get a date. We might go back and forth in the comments. The hell you say? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So, but definitely share this video. And if you have not done so yet, and yes, I am so proud that I did hit the 1,000 subscriber mark. Yeah. Yes. Yes. 5 months in, and I hit 1,000 subscribers, and I am so appreciative. And it is because of all of you. And thank you, Syntell. You definitely helped me get there for that. Yeah. So make sure check in the description. There's some wonderful things in the subscription. Of course, there's a link to my Patreon. There's a permanent link to the Discord. So listen, you get in the Discord as quick as possible. You don't even know. It has been free 99 for a minute. Things is about to change. We picking up steam, so things about to change. So get in there immediately. On top of that, there's some things at the bottom, like y'all see my little, especially when we do these lives, my little equipment needs some love, needs some help. So I got some little wish lists in there. If you want to help your boy out, listen, I won't be opposed to it. Anyway, it's got to be about this, and it's got to be about this. As always, thank you, Chef.
Thank you, Chef.
All right.